You know, when it comes to integrity, there's so many things that have to come into consideration, and one thing is your integrity. When you think about the ability among perception and other people's perception of you, and yet they don't know you. They go by the rumor of the day. They go by past or history. That is not something they've witnessed themselves. But it brings them into that question of what if? Well, what if everything you heard was a lie? Or everything you heard was distorted? And then take into consideration the amplification of that integrity of an individual. I mean, take into consideration their last day, their last 24 hours, their last week. You know, let's go even further than that. Let's talk about their last month. Hell, let's even go to the last year. Let's take 5 years and look back on that 5 years. And you know what? You'll find there's a pattern. Or there is a marker during that time where everything changed. And by whose account? Who was the one who changed it? It wasn't you. It was somebody else looking at something through a narrow scape, or with blinders on, if you care. Take into consideration, let's go 10 years. Let's talk about 10 years ago, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about your life and the turbulence that your life had gone through. Only in the last 5 years. Let's talk 10 years. Hell, let's even go back 15 years. Why don't we even talk about when your life changed forever because of a good thing? How many people are interested in that? Very few. I know it from experience. I've witnessed it in myself, in others, in family, in friends, in coworkers. Their lives have changed. And what else has changed with it? The perception of who they are or who you might be. It is such a disturbing trend and so ignorant of the human species to think that everything is benevolent and a person exponentially goes through a growing spurt, and not physically. We're talking mentally, spiritually, maybe even intelligently, this growing spurt. And do you ever get recognized for those accomplishments? No, you don't. So why is it that it's more interesting for a human being to be criticized, to be profiled, to be negatively affected by the rumors of another, or several for that matter, or for negatively affected by an organization or a membership or a group? You know, it is no different than falling in a vat of acid because, or let's even make it even more a biological insult. Let's talk about piranhas, huh? Let's throw ourselves into a piranha river, pool, pond, and every last piranha is gnawing at you till they get to your bone. And then step back and go, did any of them even think for a moment in an individual mindset instead of this beehive mindset? Probably wondering what I'm talking about, right? I'm Dominic Raphael. This is up in Canada, and this is Cloak and Dagger, and this is the Unit 24. Trying to point out a simple fact. When you watch your peers, your family, your friends, your extended family, your own children, hell, even your own grandchildren, you watch them grow up, being proud and malevolently just blessed by such a grandioso biological what would be the perfect word? Existence. And then to have some of those very same people that you know and have known for many, many years sneer at you, belittle you, profile you. Is that any different from, let's say, a bully in the schoolyard? No, to be quite frank, I was bullied. I was bullied since I was a child. And you know what? I'm not alone. I have talked to many people over the years who have seen greater fear and greater pain than I have. But it doesn't change the fact that you are still being ostracized. Or let's say a judge, for example, all of a sudden, just out of the blue, you're there on a specific case, and the judge just off the top of his head decides, well, you know what's going on next door in that court? There's 3 people there. What does that tell you? Well, unless you get the details, I can't really say. But what that would tell me is that your case isn't important. That means you're not important. That means you don't exist. You don't have the rights or privileges that those people next door do. Well, what if those people next door is you? Or was you? How would you take that? How could you move forward knowing something that has been blown out of proportion beyond your imagination? It's disgusting, really disgusting. And that's probably why the human race is such a pathetic existence, and why there is so much dissent. There's so much criticism, so much critical thinking. How is it that a species cannot think by itself or on its own, but needs to follow the trend of the day, or the latest news, or who's to blame? Is it you, or is it me? Is it them? Is it him? Is it her? Oh, maybe it's some alien from outer space. Or maybe it's psychological. People, the point I'm making is that you cannot judge a book by its cover. I mean, how many times have you heard that in your lifetime? And how many times do you still judge that book by its cover? I'm willing to bet 94% of the time you judge everybody, everything, and everything in existence by its cover. So, for up in Canada, I'm Dominic Raphael. The doctor is signing out. And hopefully, there may be a woke nation eventually. So cheers. Have a little faith in time.